Good morning and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that the war in the Middle East is over. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is in effect and a 20-point peace plan has been unveiled, but many questions remain. The return of 20 Israeli hostages held by Hamas since October 2023 has been celebrated by tens of thousands of people on the streets of Israeli cities. The release of almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners was met with similar elation in the Palestinian territories. Monday marked what seemed like one of the most joyful days in recent times in the Middle East. The future of the region was discussed by world leaders in Egypt later that day. The U.S. president signed a Gaza ceasefire deal in Egypt and declared the war to be over. The future of the peace plan remains uncertain, though. For it to hold, the terrorist group Hamas would have to lay down its arms. The plan is also opposed by some members of the Israeli government. Hamas attacks on Israeli territory in October of 2023 killed some 1,200 people. Israel's subsequent military operations in Gaza killed almost 68,000 Palestinians, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Donald Trump's involvement in establishing a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas brought hope his efforts could also bear fruit in Ukraine. TVP World spoke to an expert to see what can be expected next from the U.S. president.
There's hope now that that he might be able to apply more pressure onto Ukraine. And I know they had a conversation with Zelenskyy today. I mean, the real issue with him is his staying power. Will he be able to stay focused, make sure his team stays focused? And it would be nice if Trump actually followed through on one of these promises to Zelenskyy. He's offered military support several times. He's threatened Russia with all sorts of sanctions and additional sanctions secondary sanctions like on China and India. So far, just India has had those sanctions. So it would be good if he followed through on some of those threats to Russia. For whatever reason, no one really understands. He has not been pushing Putin that hard yet. That's possibly the case. I don't think they have a lot of experts that go with Witkoff when he goes there, but the same has happened in the Middle East.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced on Monday that he will meet U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington this Friday to discuss strengthening Ukraine's air defense and long-range strike capabilities.
I hope that I will have possibility to come to Washington and have a meeting on Friday with President.
Speaking to reporters in Kyiv, Zelenskyy said he had shared with Trump his vision of how many U.S.-made Tomahawk missiles Ukraine needs in its fight against Russia.
It's too early to talk about the number and the possibilities, although frankly, I've already shared our vision with President Trump. But some of these things are probably not for a phone conversation. That's why we'll meet with him.
Kyiv has been pressing Washington to supply the Tomahawk missiles, which are capable of reaching Moscow, though Ukrainian officials maintain they would be used strictly against military targets. Moscow has warned that such a move would represent serious escalations. Trump, meanwhile, says he's weighing the decision, but may also discuss it directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
And I might talk to him. I might say, look, if this war's not going to get settled, I'm going to send them Tomahawks. I may say that. The Tomahawk is an incredible weapon, very offensive weapon.
Friday's meeting could prove pivotal for Ukraine's war efforts and future relations with Washington.
EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas announced on Monday during her visit to Kyiv that the European Union has begun funding a special tribunal to try Russian President Vladimir Putin and other senior Russian officials for the crime of aggression against Ukraine.
I think this is very important because there couldn't be any just peace without accountability. We set up the special tribunal for the crimes of aggression, but now we are providing also funding for this tribunal and also calling on other member states, countries, participants to that to fund it so that the work can really start full scale, because without accountability there is no just and a lasting peace.
North Korea may have used Russian technology to build its new intercontinental ballistic missile, according to the South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff. The South Korean Minister of Defense said that Pyongyang is also receiving technology needed for submarine development from Russia. North Korea's new intercontinental ballistic missile, Hwasong-20, was presented during a parade on the 80th anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea 4 days ago. As stated by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of South Korea, Ying Jung-seong, North Korea's nuclear and missile capabilities are improving. Asked if Moscow supported Pyongyang's research and development programs, Seong said that it's highly likely. Previously, the South Korean press said Seoul is analyzing reports that Russia could have transferred components crucial in building nuclear-powered submarines to North Korea. At the same time, Pyongyang is actively helping Moscow fight its war against Ukraine, sending artillery systems, ammunition, and troops. Polish prosecutors have filed criminal charges against 2 Russian citizens, Igor R. and his wife Irina R., accused of spying for Russian intelligence and involvement in a parcel bomb scheme, the National Public Prosecutor's Office announced on Monday. The couple was detained in July 2024 and since then has remained in pretrial custody.
Igor, one of the accused in 2022, for several months gathered information on behalf of the Russian intelligence service. The information concerned Russian citizens in Poland, people who engage in opposition activities against the Russian authorities in Poland. And this information was then intended to be passed on to the Russian intelligence service. He collected this information, encrypted it, and transferred it on an encrypted data carrier to the second accused, Irina, who went to Russia and attempted to deliver these data to a Russian intelligence officer. This constitutes the crime of espionage, specifically carrying out actions on behalf of a foreign intelligence service and passing information that could harm the Republic of Poland. Furthermore, Igor was accused of participating last July in sending a package that contained explosive materials as well as a triggering mechanism.
An investigation into suspected sabotage of an undersea cable between Sweden and Latvia in the Baltic Sea is being shut down after concluding that it was caused accidentally. Swedish authorities seized the Maltese-flagged ship Vetsen in late January after a Baltic seabed communications cable was severed. The significant rise in the number of damaged cables at the turn of the year prompted NATO members to launch the Baltic Sentry operation to better protect underwater infrastructure. Sweden's public prosecutor said in a statement the investigation showed that the cable break was caused by a combination of severe weather, technical deficiencies, and suspected inadequate seamanship on the vessel in question. Poland's state-owned defense industry holding company, the Polish Armaments Group, and Germany's arms giant Rheinmetall have signed a strategic agreement on vehicle support. The deal aims to establish a joint venture to create a European support vehicle center. The two sides will develop an armored recovery vehicle, an armored engineering vehicle, and mine-clearing capabilities, and a support brigade of an armored chassis, according to a statement. The Polish defense company said the deal will contribute towards increasing security and strengthening the defense of Europe. On Monday, Moldovan Prime Minister Dorin Regen said he will not seek a new term, opening the way for a new head of government. The official said that with a new parliament and a new pro-European majority, he and the Action and Solidarity Party need to evolve, and he needs to transition to other roles. And we continue. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has awarded the 2025 Nobel Prize in Economics for work on how technology and the forces of creative destruction can drive economic growth. The prize went to a trio of scholars, Joël Moker, Philippe Ayon, and Peter Howitt.
This is an AI chip, an example of cutting-edge technology. And this year's Nobel Prize in Economics is all about technology like that driving economic progress.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has today decided to award Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel for 2025 to Joël Moker, Northwestern University, USA, Philippe Aguillon, Collège de France and INSEAD, France, and London School of Economics, UK, and Peter Howitt, Brown University, USA, for having explained innovation-driven economic growth.
Moker has been recognized for demonstrating how technological advancements of the late 18th and 19th century enabled sustained economic growth, something that wasn't the norm throughout most of human history. Agion and Howitt showed how the constant cycle of businesses collapsing and new ones taking their place also leads to sustained growth.
With the understanding of the mechanisms of creative destruction provided by the laureates and the follow-up research, we have a better chance to make sure growth can continue and be guided in the direction that benefits humankind.
True to their research, laureates have already weighed in on the hottest technology that can drive growth today, which is AI.
AI has fantastic growth potential, but we know that with inappropriate competition policy, the same as with IT can happen. Some superstar firms may end up dominating everything and inhibiting, potential entry of new innovators. So how can we make sure that today's innovators will not stifle future entry and future innovation?
The Nobel Prize in Economics is the last of the most prestigious science awards to be announced during the year.
The second stage of the 2025 International Frédéric Chopin Piano Competition is now behind us. 3 Polish pianists remain in the running, along with 17 other outstanding competitors. What awaits them in the next round? Are there any clear favorites emerging? Let's see.
We have 20 candidates.
On Sunday, in a great hall packed with music enthusiasts, just before midnight, the jury announced the competitors that advanced to the semi-final of the International Frédéric Chopin Piano Competition. Who were the front runners? Our specialist names some of his favourites.
Kevin Chen from Canada, William Young from the United States, Shiori Kuwahara from Japan, and Chinese pianist with the name Liu, 16 years old, studying in Poland.
Poland is Chopin's homeland, and Polish musicians carry on his heritage, and they deliver. Out of 13 Poles who initially started in the competition, 3 advanced to the third round and now have the chance to reach the final. Our specialist gave his opinion on their outstanding skills.
Aleksevich is a professional concert pianist, semi-finalist of the Van Cliburn competition in the United States. Pawlak is here for the 3rd time, has played an impressive second round recital. And Prokopowicz is a youngster from Krakow, highly talented, played already a set of mazurkas in stage 2. So it will be good to hear them in the 3rd stage.
Next up, round 3, the semi-finals, which are widely referred to as the Mazurek stage, even though the Mazurek is not the only form of music the competitors have to perform in it. So, what's the secret behind it? What makes it stand out? Our expert is quick to explain.
It's a combination of 3 different Polish folk dances, and it's a very Polish genre, like the Polonaise by Chopin. So it's nothing more Polish than the mazurkas, and the pianists from all over the world have to master it to convince the jury and the Polish part of the jury that they're very much in the tradition of Chopin, who was the inventor of this genre.
The semi-finals begin on Tuesday, October 14th, and with the announcement of the finalists on October 16th, the real excitement begins.
It's always such a pleasure to observe the competition. This marks the end of World News. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you back here on TVP World for more.